because, you know, I came in with that mindset, you know, like, have fun, enjoy it. You know, if you win, hey, enjoy it. If you lose, you know, like, it's okay. On to the next one. But, you know, I won. I so happy because, you know, I coming off from a loss, have fun. I was having fun. I was motivated. I was hungry, and, you know, it paid off. And I was, as soon as they told me I won, the excitement, the joy was like through the roof. I was so pumped. I was like, oh my God, yes. You know, I'm gonna, you know, like have my own, you know, like Brandon Moreno moment, you know. Oh man, like I made it, you know, si se puede, you know, I made it.
What is up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcast, Rafa Esparza, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. I hope you're having a great day. I'm having a phenomenal day. I just trained over here. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this great logo, everybody, over at Hybrid in Orange County. And we'll get to our get out of my shot right now. All right. We'll get back to him in a second. But I want to tell you guys this. Before we start talking to him and his excellent win at the most recent SPARSTAR, I want to talk to you guys and tell you guys, if you're not a member of the Grappling Hour community, what is wrong with you? Get on it. $5 a month, you get to see these interviews 30 days before anybody else. And if you pay a few extra dollars, you can check out our premium tier of stuff. What's on the premium tier of stuff? Well, you get to see extra episodes and bonus content not available anywhere else, including tape studies, which we're going to do here today. Also, we do extra episodes on asking athletes who their favorite athletes that they've competed against are, or episodes on steroids, etc., etc., and even some that you guys pitch to me. And you also get some live chats and some other cool stuff. Like you get to see me going through a table in competition. I don't give that away for free because that was not fun. And from being honest, did not expect it was going to happen, especially to me. And they didn't even have the good sense to put me through a table like the full way. Like there was no powerbomb here. It was a very, very subpar thing as a pro wrestling fan. All right. Let's get to our guest. What can we say about him? Well, I had the honor and the pleasure of commentating one of his fights at the most recent SPARSTAR, and I decided after watching that performance that I wanted to interview him because he had such a great performance at that event that I wanted to know more about him. And he happens to train with some of the homies here over at Hybrid. And I just thought, you know what? Let's get some training in. Let's do an interview. So I thought, why not get to know the future legend who is going to have a fight coming up at the next LXF on October 7th here is it Commerce?
Actually, it's going to be in Long Beach.
Oh, Long Beach. That was my first instinct. Always go with your first instinct, guys. Because in Long Beach on October 7th, we see my man return to the cage. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for one, Mickey Valtierra.
Hola, hola, hola. What's up, everybody?
Pleasure to have you on the show here, sir. I referred to you as Miguel, and you were telling me off air that is because you have a lot of Miguels that you train with, correct?
Yeah, there's actually like quite a few, you know. Usually it's like more than 2 Miguels here, but either at this gym or my other gym. So I'm like, you know, I just go by what my family calls me, Mickey.
So your family calls you Mickey?
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't like we just ascribed you that nickname, right?
No, I go by Mickey or Michael, but Michael's more like personal, like my mom or my dad. But my friends or cousins or family members.
So
Mickey.
That's the one when you're in trouble then, right? Okay. Because I wasn't quite sure. I was like, you know, I read that poster and we were talking off air, and then I see Miklo and I go, I'm going to get his name wrong. And I suffer from Ron Burgundy's disease, which is I read what's ever on the teleprompter. So the last thing I wanted to do is be disrespectful and come over here. But which do you prefer me to call you by?
Well, Mickey. Everyone calls him Mickey.
Mickey. Then I will call you Mickey, sir. Mickey, thank you so much for facilitating some great training over here today. It was awesome to get to roll with you. And I have to say, I was impressed. Your jiu-jitsu is quite good. And I knew that coming from watching you in the fights. But your sharpshooter defense wasn't bad. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to compliment you on that because I'm letting you live so that you can fight the next fight on October 7th. But it showed me, especially when you referred to it, you're like, no, it's a sharpshooter. I was like, oh, he's educated. He knows the pro wrestling terms.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching WWE, obviously my best, the WWE superstar is John Cena.
Oh, your guy was John Cena?
My guy was John Cena. I used to like him. And then, but before, after John Cena, the era was going down, my guy was Brock Lesnar.
So, why Brock Lesnar then?
I mean, I grew up wrestling, mostly all my entire life. And I always told myself when I was a kid, like, every time I saw Brock Lesnar on TV, I was like, I want to be like that guy. I want to be that big. But yet again, I'm Hispanic. I won't be 6'4", 300 pounds. I think I'm going to stay at 5'8". I want 145.
I was about to say, you made the mistake of when we were rolling. You were looking at me and you're like, bro, you're so strong. And I was like, no, I'm just fat. No, this is what happens. This is the difference. I'm just bigger than you, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're probably going to still bench more than me. But I looked at you and I thought to myself, okay, this kid, he knows his stuff. And I wouldn't have thought much of it. But then I saw at Royal Combat, you came out to a particular song when you had a grappling match. So what did you walk out to there?
I walked out to a Roman Reigns theme song. Since it was only a super fight, no gi, I was like, let me channel my inner WWE moment. Like it's just, I was like, I'm gonna come out like Roman Reigns, just like a tribal chief. Someone who's just like badass.
Because I saw you. The only thing I thought you were gonna do as soon as you walked out was just hit the one, and I was looking at my guy and I was like, okay, I see what he's doing here. But what's so funny is there are certain pro wrestling songs that only fans know. So I was just like, this is a particular deep cut that this kid is doing. He's walking out here, and it's an epic song. So kudos to you. Are there any other theme songs from pro wrestling that you would have walked out to?
I mean, there is another one, but that's my teammate's song. My teammate Leo Salazar, Master Tales, he likes to come out to Chris Benoit's theme song, and I was like, damn, I wanted to come out to that theme song, Royal Combat.
Bro, I have to talk to you guys about this. It's so unnerving when people walk out to the Chris Benoit theme song, because I've sent messages to people when they put up like a clip of them doing it, and I'll be like, bro, are we good with this? Do we do this one? They're like, no, this song's fire. And I go, you know what? I think they forgot what happened to this dude. Okay, we're going to move on. So every time they do that, I just think to myself, I have to ask, have you ever hit a pro wrestling finisher in your grappling career?
I wouldn't say I would have. Maybe part of the close to it is probably a fireman's carry when in my no-gi super fight. I kind of thought about, I think I did the FU like John Cena. I was like, that's probably the closest WWE move I ever done in a no-gi super fight.
Okay, listen, this is how I know you're a true performer, somebody who gives to the live audiences, because when you told me your guy's John Cena, and then you tell me it's Roman Reigns, two very different guys.
Yeah.
So which more are you now? Was it that you grew up and John Cena was your guy and that aligned with you being a kid, and now you've grown up and you're more of a Roman Reigns guy? Yeah. Or are you still like, do you have like a green shirt on underneath that says you can't see me on?
Yeah, when I was a little kid, my guy was John Cena, because I guess it's just that attitude adjustment, era that he had. So, whenever he comes on, I used to turn up the volume on my TV and act just like him, and my parents, would be like, hey, turn it down, As soon as, I got older, like newcomers started coming in, everyone was saying like, oh, Roman Reigns like the next Rock, I was like, okay, I like this guy's style, And then I started transitioning more to him, and then, as soon as, I was getting older, John Cena was getting also old too. He's getting more on the acting side more than being a WWE superstar. So as soon as that was happening, I was like, okay, I'm going with Roman Reigns era now. This is the Roman Empire now. That was my thing.
That's how you know you grew up. You're just like, nah. John Cena was for kids. Yeah. Nah, I'm all about Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
All right. So do you still keep up at all, or are you kind of by afar now?
I try to keep up, and and I got 2 kids. That my oldest, he's gonna be 6, and actually this weekend. But
congrats.
Yeah, and he's actually into WWE. So
nice.
I'm just like, dang, you know, like he reminds me of me when I was into that stuff.
no.
I mean, but he likes he likes the Big Show.
Oh, that's a very particular person to hit.
And I always ask him, why do you like him? You know, and he's like, because he's big. And I was like, okay, and I'm not gonna burst your bubble.
Wow,
Right?
it's like every parent's nightmare. It's like him.
Yeah.
You like that one?
Yeah, I'm thinking like him. I'm thinking, you know, I think you might like Finn Balor. He's like, nah, I don't like people who jump off the ropes like that. I want guy people slamming people. I was like, okay,
That's fair. That's a fair assessment there. That does align with you. So I can definitely see where the growth is coming from. So I can tell you have these influences because after you won your fight, you were pretty hype.
Oh, I was.
You grabbed that microphone and you went for it, sir. And I want to say, I don't want to say I was on the verge of maybe I'm going to interview. I had a pretty good idea. I was like, yeah, I'll interview the kid. I'll see what he's all about. And then I saw that and I go, well, that's screaming somebody who wants to be interviewed. So what was going through your head when you started yelling out on that microphone? Did you black out or was that something you had thought about going into the actual fight?
In that moment, you know, before that fight, I was coming off a loss and it got me super motivated to train even harder, you know, in and out of the gym. And, you know, I, you know, had that in the back of my head, you know, that, okay, I'm coming from a loss, so you know this loss doesn't define me. You know, I'm better than this. So as soon as I went into the fight previously at SPARSTAR, you know, I did everything I can to win, and all the hard work was done in that moment. You know, as soon as I stepped into the cage, I was like, you know what, I'm ready. You know, ring the freaking bell. You know, like it's gonna go down, and I did everything I can for that fight. You know, all the hard work, you know, was done. The running, you know, all the training sessions that I had is all done. Now it's just time to go to work and, you know, do your best, you know. At the same time, you know, I remember one day before the fight, I have a teammate named Mauricio. He told me, you know, like, when you go in the cage, Mickey, don't forget, have fun. Have fun. You know, don't stress too much about it. If you stress, you're going to mess up. You know, if you overthink, you're going to mess up. If you're already afraid by the time you go to the cage, you're going to mess up and you're going to lose again. You know, and I was like, all right, you know, just as soon as you step into the cage and as soon as the rep tells you to, like, fighter, you're ready, have that mindset when you go in, you know, ring the freaking bell. And at the same time, he told me, you know, just freaking fight, man, just fight. And at the same time, have fun. So as soon as, you know, when that was going on there through my head, after the first round, you know, in my head, I was like, I'm having a great time. I'm having fun. You know, this is what it's all about. You know, we're going at it. And as soon as, you know, the fight was over, you know, I looked at my coach. I looked at Coach Rick and my Coach Leo, and I was like, I was smiling. I was happy because I looked at both of them. I was like, I was having a time of my life, man. You know, like we were going at it. I was throwing bombs. I was trying to shoot. I was throwing everything as much as I can. And as soon as they told me that I won by unanimous decision, I was happy because at the same time I was already having fun.
Yeah.
So the joy that I had in that fight, it just made it more like joyful because, you know, like I love doing mixed martial arts. I love everything about it, and to see all the hard work that pays off, and you finally made it. You won by decision. Even if I won by a knockout or a submission, I was still reacted the same because, you know, I came in with that mindset. You know, like have fun. Enjoy it. You know, if you win, enjoy it. If you lose, you know, like it's okay. On to the next one. But, you know, I won. I so happy because, you know, I coming out from a loss. Have fun. I was having fun. I was motivated. I was hungry, and, you know, it paid off. And I was, as soon as they told me I won, the excitement, the joy was like through the roof. I was so pumped. I was like, oh my God. Yes, you know, I'm gonna, you know, like have my own, you know, like Brandon Moreno moment, you know. Oh man, like I made it, you know, si se puede, you know, I made it. You know, it's done, and I was like, yeah, and my family was there too, you know, like, and, you know, my lady was there too, and I was like, yes, and she told me too, but the night before, you know, like, hey, you can do it, have fun, and then, yeah, that goes from there, you know. I was like, yep, I'm gonna have a Brandon Moreno moment, just grab the mic, you know, let them know you're having the time of your life in there, man. Just sound excited, have fun, you know?
Because here's the confusion to me. I've never fought in a cage before, so I don't know what that experience is. I just rationalized it for myself, which was, I don't think like I would sound like I was in the club. you sounded like you were in the club ordering drinks. Like you had unlimited money and you're like, let's go, rack them up. And I go, that's how much fun it seemed to exude to us who was watching. And there is a joy in that. There is a joy in watching someone accomplish something. And I knew you were coming off a loss, but I was so intrigued as to how you went about it, because it's one thing to actually say you're going to run more, you're going to train more, but it didn't mean that before you didn't run a lot or train a lot. What did you do to curb that to help you get to that winning moment?
Yeah, with that, like, not besides, train more often, having a, I guess you could say a different mindset, because, you got to, come to a certain point when, after a loss, actually, before that, before that fight, I thought I was untouchable, because I was undefeated at that point, and, and I got humbled. And when that happened, like, obviously, I got a little bit into a depressed moment, because I never thought it would happen to me. And, I'll be honest, like, I saw my leg and I started crying because, I lost, and it's part, it's part of the game. And, but when I was crying, went back home, it was hurt. And, she told me, like, is this something you want to do? And I'm like, this is not for everybody. Are you gonna let this define you, or are you gonna let this ruin you? And I took a moment to realize that. And so she told me, like, if you want to continue this, get back up. Like, yeah, like, this is not over. You're still young, and you just, you're only. And she told me, you're only 26 years old. You're not that old. You're still young. You're still in your prime. And that's why I give a lot of credit to her. She, pushed me a lot to become more better. And as time gonna go on, and she tells me, like, keep going, get up, go train, and all that stuff. And sooner or later, that loss, was in the past. Never happened. It's gone. It might be still in the record books, but doesn't mean anything to me. So, so when I went back into the gym, with Coach Rick or Coach Leo or crew over there at my other gym, and so with that being said, I go in early runs, and I'll think a lot about it. I will have visions of the next fight, because SPARSTAR did tell me, do you want to fight in the August card? And it took me quite a while to to think about it, because at that time I was still sad, like, I lost, like, I'll be honest, I got TKO'd at my last fight. I mean, the fight before this, and that never happened to me. Never happened in my career in mixed martial arts. Never have. And even in the gym, I never been dinged or TKO'd to the point where I been knocked out. It never had happened to me, and I didn't know how to feel about it. And so I decided this is gonna be one of the greatest comebacks you'll ever see. And so Heather, from SPARSTAR, hit me up. She's like, we were really impressed by your fight. Even though you lost, we were really impressed. And because you went against a game opponent. And I will admit, he was a really game opponent. And we almost made it through the whole rounds, but, I got clipped in the last round. And so weeks went by, a couple days into actually. I decided, you know what? Get back into the training mode, get back to, happy Mickey, motivated Mickey, and, I envision, that I'm going to have like, almost similar like a Charles Oliveira moment, like, how he lost, came back up, win, and now he's having the time of his life. He's having fun, he's happy because, it's the best part of, I would say, with, losing is that it makes winning so much joyful. It just makes the hard work so much joyful. So when I went into the previous fight, I was already happy. I was already happy. I was pumped. In the back, actually in a warm up area with Coach Rick, he could tell you how pumped I was. I was happy. I was so excited to just get back out there. I was so happy to get back there. And Coach was like, hey, relax. But you don't want to.
No. I know Coach Rick well, and I know I see how he competes.
Yeah,
and my man is very smiley to me.
Yeah.
Not as smiley when he's in competition mode. I'm like, I'll talk to you later, sir. Yeah. All right, we'll chat later. But everybody has a different zone that they have to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Yours, it seems, the looser you are, the tighter your game is.
Yes, honestly, it is. Because a lot of my teammates, including my lady too, she tells me, do you feel like a loser? And I'm like, no, then you're not a loser. And I was like, you lost, but in your own mind, in the eyes of of mine too, and she's like, you're not a loser. It takes courage to step in the cage and do what you do. It does. Not a lot of people can do that. And so I had the mindset going to that my last previous fight, just be joyful, have fun. All right. My last previous fight was a learning experience. So, this is what I'm about. I'm gonna show everybody, what I'm about. I came back from a loss, here I am back on the winning streak, having the time of my life, having fun,
Can I say, as somebody who watched your fight, so in commentating your fight,
mm-hmm.
I do my research, and the minute I knew who the players were, I did, little clips and watched as much of the fights as I could. And I was impressed. So I could see why they were impressed by your performance. Yes, you lost at the very end of a match,
mm-hmm.
but it was still fun to watch. And you weren't just docile in it. You were a game opponent for that person.
Yeah.
So I could see why that happened for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also affirm what your lady said, which, by the way, great lady. If she is telling you that is a type of support system that you need to hold on to, sir.
Mm-hmm.
But 2, losing doesn't make you a loser. How you respond to your loss can make you a loser or not. So if you lose in a cage, that's a 50-50 proposition.
Mm-hmm.
You're either going to win or you're going to lose.
Yeah.
So sometimes you draw, and I think you know that too.
Yeah. But
generally, statistically speaking, someone has to win and somebody has to lose in this.
Exactly.
And when that happens, it may not be your day, but how you come back from that, what you do with that information fulfills you. You're comparing yourself in a small way, I think, to saying like Charles Oliveira. That dude had to lose a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But to you, when you're just starting, you don't have that resume that's comparable to what he has.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels greater.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you have so much more you can show and do. So those highs and lows are very extreme.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's good when you have people like your lady,
mm-hmm.
your coaches,
mm-hmm.
who can see that perspective for you and say, let's just get our game plan together.
Yeah.
But it all stems from, where does your mentality come?
Exactly.
And the minute you're ready, that's when you tell them and they put you on that path. So
mm-hmm.
it's good that you were able to get there, because if you hadn't have gotten there and you decided that you didn't want to fight anymore, that wouldn't necessarily make you a loser either.
Mm-hmm.
You just got intel that means you're going to do something else and you succeed at something else.
Yeah.
But the fact that you wanted to do it means, all right, now I'm going to come with a better strategy.
Yeah.
And to me, it all seems to come together, because I don't know if you picked up when I said this or if you heard me say this, but when I was doing my research, I go, oh, he's going to take the fight everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just based off of what I saw and what I knew from you, I was like, he's going to wrestle, he's going to box, and he's going to make it real dirty at certain parts. And lo and behold, you didn't take long to start shooting, boxing, cage work.
Yeah.
And then when it's happening, I'm like, I'm kind of tired looking at this. Like I told John when we were commentating, I was like, I'm a little exhausted. I was like, my man's got a good gas tank on him. Look at this guy. So that's the stuff that we were saying off air, which I think fills in some of the gaps, but that's really good. Having said that, what changed in terms of in the cage for you? You mentioned you were loose, but what did it feel like? We're going to do a technique breakdown of the actual fight itself, but just from a general overview, what did you feel was different in this fight for you when you were in there?
So the game plan was initially, the game plan was take him down. That was the game plan what me and Coach Rick were trying to do. But I knew my opponent was going to practice his takedown defense. I knew that was going to happen. And with another gym at MTLA, Master Tali's in Anaheim, they told me, when you do cage control, and especially in an MMA fight, that looks really good on the judges. And I was like, okay. So when I practice over there at my other gym with my MMA sparring partners, when I go against the wall, I use my wrestling, especially against the cage, and I do see, I was like, this is pretty easy. And,
For you? Get the hell out of here. It's just like you were like, cage work's easy. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's actually very difficult.
And then I'm like, I told my coach was like, that actually looks pretty good on the judges, right? I was like, really? That's like 10 points right there. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, so, cage work, even my coaches told me, even if you just hold him there, the judge is going to be like, cage control. You won fair and square. And I was like, okay. And so I knew that he was stuffing my takedowns. So what the new game plan was, after the first round, I was like, okay, I couldn't really take him down, but I was like, put him against the cage, do a little bit of dirty boxing and a little bit of the overhands too. I noticed that he's a usually good striker. He was really good, and so with my boxing coach here at Hyper Academy, they do boxing here. Coach Anthony, tells me, like, hey, double up on your punches, do a 1, 2, 3, 4, on 1, 2, 3, 5, all that stuff, and it's been adding up, and and my Muay Thai too over there, my other gym too, and my coach is Leo Salazar, and he tells me, like, hey, initiate, your kicks too. So I don't really like throwing kicks that much, and I did actually have, and I do see, I do see openings, and it's worked. And I see, openings where he would also throw kicks too, and he'd throw a high kick, and I was coming with the cross, and I'll counter with it. And so that point, I was like, you know what? Just be violent. Be violent. Put the pressure on. Put him against the cage. And throw like overhands. And throw 1, 2, 3. Throw 1, 2. My 1, 2. I believe I was ruining the fight by myself. My 1, 2 was pretty good. I've been working a lot about that with Coach Anthony, my boxing coach here at Hyper Academy. That my 1, 2. If you follow through with it and you just throw it, it opens up opportunities. And so the game plan, after the first round was be violent, put the pressure on.
That makes more sense, because I saw that post interview you did where you were like, well, what I was supposed to do was do this.
Yeah.
And then I go, no, I know. We got that part. Because like I said, when I estimated based off of what it looked like your output looked like, I go, I think he's going to take it everywhere. And then there's nothing that's more satisfying than when the control booth, the people who are working behind the scenes, they look at me and they're like, I know, I'm here for a reason. So I just laughed because I'll tell you what tipped me off. What tipped me off about it was knowing the versatility of your coaching, knowing what you're capable of at this juncture. So when I see people who are young and they're just starting off their stuff, the best thing you can do as somebody from outside perspective is say, given what you see, what are likely outcomes? So then you start going like, I don't know, he's got a good gas tank. He probably can wrestle pretty well. I think he's going to be in this guy's face, and I think that's going to make for a compelling fight. And to his credit, when you were backing this dude up, he was countering well on some of these. And I go, man, credit to him. This is a really good fight. But guess what? You won on 2 of those cards, 30-27. So you made enough of an impression where even though he was still in the fight, you were edging him on a lot of things. And that starts to come together nicely. So I want to make sure that we give you the proper credit for that. So congrats on that. And I'm glad that you were able to kind of turn the corner on it, because it made for a very, very good fight. And it makes me very happy to know that your support system is really what's responsible for that. Because what they wanted is they could see something that maybe for 24 hours, 2 days, a week that you couldn't see. And then they said like, no, don't. It's still there. So they deserve a lot of credit in that build up for you. And I thought one way that we could make it fun, because I have promised your coach that I would come here. Things have gotten in the way For example, traffic. Traffic is not fun getting here from where I live. It took me 2 hours to get here. Otherwise,
wow.
yeah, that's fine. I would have been here way earlier. However, it's not for lack of wanting to be here. It is because when I wanted to come, I wanted to do it up big. So we're going to bring Coach Rick on over here. Coach, come on over. The owner and operator and head honcho of all things Hybrid Academy. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
It's good to see you, man. And I'm so happy to be here. Like, this gym looks phenomenal. You guys have done a truly, truly great job here. So kudos to you and your staff for making this look so dope, man.
Oh, thank you. It did take a lot of hard work. We've come a long way. We appreciate everyone that puts in their hard work here. We work together as a team, and it's just good to see it just all just come to fruition and be able to give back to the community in this city.
You know, here's what I want to say about this right now, which is that, you know, normally we do origin story, but I thought it might actually be kind of cool to do 2 origin stories. And the reason why I wanted to do 2 origin stories here is because now you have the chance to ask him about anything that he was on the come up with, because there's one thing that students seem to forget is that whenever they look at you and they're like, Coach, you wouldn't understand. You didn't mess up like that. You're like, try me. I bet you have no idea how much I did exactly what you were doing when you were on the come up. So I thought that might be a good idea. So Mickey, I'm going to start with you. I want to ask, when was the first day you remember doing jiu-jitsu?
First day that I remember doing jiu-jitsu. Actually taking it seriously.
Well, okay. Hold on. When you say taking it seriously, what does that mean? Because that meant you were doing jiu-jitsu elsewhere or somewhere.
Yeah, I was doing it at CSW for a little bit. And mainly, like Coach Rick, I was mainly a wrestler, and I was mainly into MMA more than jiu-jitsu. And so when I was incorporating a lot of my wrestling, I was like, I could win a lot of fights like this. But yet again, like as the competition started getting, more involved, and, and more fighters are getting way more better, especially, the jiu-jitsu is more evolving more. It's not like, the pioneers days where, like all that stuff. So jiu-jitsu, you could get triangles so fast, you could get armbar so fast, even in close guard. So I was like, I gotta know jiu-jitsu more better. So I was, so when I found out that, I remember the first day coming here at Hybrid Academy. I have a teammate named Miguel Sedante. I went to high school with him. That's how me and him wrestled back in the day in high school. And so not a lot of gyms offer wrestling classes. Not a lot. And especially, around here in the OC area. And when I was, like looking for a grappling gym, mainly a grappling gym, and that incorporates wrestling and jiu-jitsu like classes. I remember going through my IG, going through stories. I was like, man, I'm never gonna find a gym that has just only like wrestling or no-gi, all that stuff. Because I always see like only like 10th Planet stuff, Gracie Barras, or all that stuff. I'm just like, really not for me. I mean, I have tried, the day classes are just like, really not for me. And but until I see my friend Miguel train at Hybrid Academy with some wrestling shoes on, I was like, hey, where you at? He's like, oh, I'm at Hybrid Academy in Orange. Can you send me the info? And, like, how to do wrestling? And I'm like, like Mondays and Wednesdays, at 7:00 p.m. Okay, you know what? Send me the info right now. And it works perfect with my schedule, with my work schedule and everything. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hit up, Hybrid Academy. So I have hit up Hybrid Academy. I came in and tried the no-gi, loved it. Came in and tried the wrestling class, loved it. And I found out that, Coach Rick and I wrestled at the same college.
No way.
Yeah, Santa Ana College.
That's dope.
So I was like, these moves kind of look familiar. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be here. I like it. I like the environment. Coach Rick understands my style, and you know what? And the rest is history. And, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a hybrid now. I loved it. So
no, hold on. I'm going to put a pause here. Do you remember his first day?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I mean, when he first came in, I obviously, like he was searching for a new home. He did a really good job. I saw a lot of what I saw was that I saw that he was very motivated. I saw that he was very coachable, and to me, that's what I feel it's important, because if you're coachable, then what we show you is going to be easy. He didn't seem like the type of guy that just he didn't seem like the type of guy that would just kind of just go through the motions and then just say, okay, let's just hurry up and get to sparring. No, that wasn't his attitude. His attitude was, I want to learn as much as I can, and I want to go through the growing pains that come with it. And just because he has that wrestler's mentality, so he wants to learn, he wants to get better, he wants to improve. So for Mickey, it's one thing I did notice about him, is that he was very coachable, very determined, and I think that's why we blend so well together.
I have to say that I can affirm that, because when you set up time for us to train here, there was a moment where I was like, I need a little bit of rolls. And you're like, how many rolls do you want? And I'm like, I'm the wrong guy to ask, because I'll go forever, man. Like I don't leave, like I'm the guy who puts on an hour on the clock and then just goes, and we're rolling and we kind of hit like the amount we were supposed to do. And Mickey's over here looking at me being like, do you want to still go? And I'm like, oh, this could be endless. Like, I don't, like I'll be here, but this isn't my place. If this was my gym, I'd be like, yeah, kid, we're not moving here. We're going to be here for a bit. Right. Mm-hmm. And the nice part was there's no ego to any of it. It was just, I want to train with you while you're here. And there's no better feeling than being somebody who wants to come train than to have somebody who has an equal interest in, let's make the most of it while we're here. Like, we have this time, let's keep going. And then the biggest thing that tipped me off was I was like, oh, he pulled guard on me. So I truly am a guest and they are treating me nice here. But it told me that like he has this weapon of good wrestling and going for it, but he wants to work on other things. And to me, like, if that doesn't stick out to you as a coachable skill, as an upper belt, or even as a host, I don't know what does. Like, those are the things that, like, as a coach myself, we look for our students, because we say, I don't want to waste my time with other people. Honestly, my time is limited. And if you can't get motivated, then how am I supposed to be motivated? Mm-hmm. So me seeing you going like, hey, do you want to do extra rounds? You want to keep going? I was like, yes, because you want to. Mm-hmm. And now we can get really good training in there, so that even if I see something where you see something from me, it's an exchange of information, because I feel it's missing. And the best people I've seen in MMA have been able to utilize training partners of all skills, shapes, and levels. Mm-hmm. And it is insane when people don't know how to do that. So in terms of a trajectory, you're on a very good path. So I'm glad that you do that. But Rick, what was your first day of training like?
My first day of training, it was March, I believe, 2012 at Timo Yama. It was a nogi class. I remember. Well, I remember it was a good day and a bad day for me, because I think at the time, it was a bad day because I was going through a lot in my life at that time. Mm. So pretty much everything in my life that was going wrong, that you could think that could possibly go wrong in your life, was pretty much everything in my life. And I feel like I was kind of hanging on to like a thread. So when I went to this class, I really didn't know what to expect. I kind of just did it because I wanted to make my friends shut up. Shout out to John Carr, by the way. He's the one that actually got me into jiu-jitsu. So thank you for hounding me in bio class while we were in college. He just kept hounding me, and I listened to him, and I felt like, well, I got nothing else better to do in my life right now at this point, especially with what I'm going through. So I will do it. And I will shoot him a text and say, okay, I went, now leave me alone. So I showed up to class. It was cool because when I walked in, I saw all these like championship belts, all these pictures of all these guys holding like awards and fights, and, in the cage and things like that. And just really cool pictures. And when I walked in, I was like, okay, this looks interesting. I saw a big, huge mat, and I just said, wow, this looks very interesting. So when I walked in there, I met my first instructor at that time, which was Professor Mokayet, and then started training no-gi. And to be truthfully honest, it was a breath of fresh air. It was something I feel like I really needed in my life at that time, and it was a great experience. I stayed on that mat, and even when they told me to leave, I didn't want to leave. So
Yeah.
and I haven't left since.
Well, no, I mean, clearly you have not left since. You've expanded even further. So, okay, I want to shoot this back on over to you, which is, what question for Coach Rick do you have about his beginnings? Because the come up, you have to understand there's 1,000 things that I'm sure you can probably better relate to, especially as a wrestler. But what question do you have for your coach about when he was starting?
Well, with Coach Rick, he's an amazing wrestler. I do question sometimes, like, how come you didn't make it to D1?
He's pretty good,
He's
man.
really good. I remember I seen his wrestling highlights. I was like, he wrestled at community college. He wrestles like a D1 wrestler from Penn State. I was like, he's really good. And
Thank you for thinking so highly of me.
yeah, I was just like, there's no way we could have wrestled at the same college. There's no way. Because he's really good. Coach Rick's really good. That's why I questioned him, like, are you sure you wrestled at that college? And he's like, I remember he did tell me, he's like, yeah, we wrestled against TJ Dillashaw. I was like, really? Like, you wrestled at college? I was like, that's why I kind of questioned. I'm just like, I think you went to like a D1 school, like in disguise or something.
Well, he pulled an undercover boss and
Yeah.
just was like,
Well, we wrestled against schools at the time. Cal State Fullerton had a wrestling program. Obviously, TJ Dillashaw was on the team, and some of my teammates wrestled against TJ and everything. And so we had a chance to wrestle against Cal State Fullerton at that time. So, but to answer your question, the reason why I didn't get a chance to wrestle D1, well, I wouldn't say it's a funny story, but it's actually a pretty heartbreaking story. But I don't know, maybe it'll bring inspiration to somebody. But I actually was committed and looking to go to a D1 school. And when I was in junior college, I had really good grades. I had straight A's. So it's one thing if you can wrestle, but you can wrestle and have like a 4.0 GPA. And I had a consistent GPA of 4.0. So I was able to apply pretty much to any school that I want to. I visited a couple of schools at the time. I think I visited Boise State. Boise State was a school that I was looking at. But my counselors were really asking me to shoot higher because of my grades. And I actually ended up picking Columbia. I wanted to go to Columbia in New York, and that's an Ivy League school. So I was in my right mind. I never thought I'd ever like be able to get into a school like that. And sure enough, I applied. I actually got in. So I was really committed to going to Columbia, and I was excited. I was ready to go. I had sent in my transcripts and everything, and I was going to go on a scholarship, academic. They had a wrestling team there, so that it all worked out. But unfortunately, in 2010 on 4th of July, when I was, I would want to say, I think I was about 3 months away from going. I was ready. I made a commitment to myself. I'm going to go through with this. And I was crossing the street, and I was hit by a car. So a car actually hit me, and I unfortunately got injured. It snapped my leg in two. I suffered a compound fracture of the tibia and fibula on the left leg, and it actually, that accident actually changed the trajectory of my life. After that, I wasn't able to wrestle the same. But at the same time, once I healed, that actually is when I discovered Jiu-Jitsu. But I guess if you want to shed some inspiration to the story, I guess when it happened, I went to the hospital, and then they were telling me that they were just saying, "Are you okay? Do you remember anything?" Well, I remember, crossing the street. I remember this car not stopping. I attempted to cut out of the way and run out of the way, and this person hit me, and so obviously I was unconscious, but I was kind of slipping in and out, while I was on the ground, and some people were talking to me to try and just kind of keep me, make sure I was okay. And one of them whispered to me, I said, there were two little kids that were like 15 feet away from you. So if she would have missed you, she would have probably got those kids.
Wow.
So I don't know, I guess, I guess it better me than those kids.
Yeah.
And, so I really don't have any regrets about that story at all. That story did change my life. That accident did change my life, because truthfully speaking, I probably wouldn't have got hit by the car. It wouldn't have happened. but something worse would have happened to somebody else. Or there's a possibility, say, nobody got harmed and I would have just gone on to New York and wrestled and did my thing over there. But then I wouldn't have found jiu-jitsu. And if I wouldn't have found jiu-jitsu, then guess what? I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys today. I wouldn't be next to Mickey right here in the cage. And I wouldn't be talking with you. So.
It's very difficult at the time to understand what those moments are because they don't feel fun. They feel like, well, something else was supposed to happen for me. And I think it's one of the hardest lessons in this life is there are some things that are very destined for you. And then some things that are more appropriate that do happen to you. They just don't feel like that. And nobody should have to be hurt to that extent and then have that come up. But from my perspective, you know, when you and I started to know each other, I knew you as a really awesome competitor. So from our perspective on the jiu-jitsu side, you couldn't tell me that you were injured. You could not have ever have mentioned like, oh, did you know he came back from this never walk again sort of moment? So for us, it was like you were always this fun, consistently good competitor that brought that wrestling to jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So that even though it didn't feel like, oh man, that's where he was supposed to be, or, oh, I don't know what his story is, we got to see what the reality of is, which is I'm like, dude, I still see you out there competing. And then even when you had another injury recently, you're like, oh yeah, I'm coming back. And I go, stop coming back. Let someone else have a trophy or a medal every once in a while. But you know what it is? It's only recently that I started competing too, where I'm like, oh, I have my friends in this community who now see that side of me. And it's different for me because they're used to me always doing this. But I'm just going out there and having fun and just doing something different. And I'm always aided and inspired by my friends in the community, as vast as they are, always coming up with some new thing that they're like setting, like new goal, new thing. It's never just being satisfied with what they've got. It's always like, hey, there's another goal down that line. So, you know, you're still continuing to put out great work, where when I saw you saying I'm coming back, I was on the couch and I was just like, well, what am I doing? I was like, Jesus. I'm like, he's coming back from another injury. And I'm just like, I don't wanna.
Well, I mean, amongst other things, you know, there was life going on. Like Mickey, I'm a family man myself. I'm married, and you know, Mickey has children. I have a child now, so it's different. You know, it's one thing, you know, when it's all about you and you're pursuing your goals, but now, you know, you're now a father, and now you're responsible for a whole another life.
Yeah, the mindset just changes, you know.
It definitely unlocks a whole new level of humanity in you.
Yeah,
you learn to sweat the things that you sweat when you're single, and you have a tendency to kind of like pick your battles, and you kind of just say, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna let you have that one.
I definitely like to tell people, especially when I'm doing like interviews or anything like this, especially when I have like a big kid job that I go to, where I'm like, I came here to train. Everybody shut up and train. I want train now. If you don't train with me, I'm going to get angry. So sometimes some of the guys, they'll get like bored, or they'll just be like, I don't feel like rolling today. And I'm like, you don't have a choice. Coach said we're rolling. And they're just like, yeah. And I go, don't forget, I can beat you up. So I don't have to ask. And they're just like, fine. And then afterwards, I'm like, was it worth it? Were you happy training? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, you're never going to be unhappy when you're doing this, if you really, really appreciate it. Yeah, if you don't appreciate it, you'd be somewhere else. But you're here for a reason. You showed up just like I did. Yeah. So that means there's a want. It's easy to listen to that voice that says, I don't feel like it. Because the real answer is, it doesn't have to be hard training. It could be drilling. It could be situational drilling. It could be situational live sparring. It could be anything in the world. But if you have this in your head that it's going to be a negative experience, then you're just going to waste time for all of us. Yeah. So that's when I look at people like you who have kids, where I go, and they got to go home. Like, they got to go to their family.
If you don't mind me saying, you made an interesting point about the training. You know, I think now that's one thing about me now, especially now that I'm training at, you know, I'm now being exposed to like a lot of high level guys. I'm being exposed to a lot of high level coaching. And for me, I always had an idea about how to train people, but now like for me, it's like I always tell the guys, you know, especially when I'm training, teaching the guys, is that, you know what, it's like, yeah, you can come in, you can spar for like 30 minutes and whatnot. I mean, the most you'll get out of it is you'll burn calories. You know, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, you'll actually like learn something. You know, maybe you will, maybe you won't, but we do a lot of specific training. We do a lot of drilling, but at the same time, we focus a lot on skill improvement. And I think that's what's important, because I feel like if you can perfect your skills and improve your skills, then sparring is going to be very easy. You're going to be able to spar with very minimal to no injury at all. You're going to be able to advance every position possible. You're going to be able to see the submission every time. And you're going to learn how to conserve your energy instead of like, you know, trying to just burn your energy bar like so fast in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Mickey, I want to ask this because I ask this of everybody who comes on the show, which is, when did you fall in love with jiu-jitsu? Because as a wrestler who also did other sports, I know you did football. I know you did a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Love is not something that comes always fast to the realm of grappling. But when did you know that this was going to be something that you loved as a passion, because you're doing it more than just a hobby now? Now it's a part of life for you.
I will honestly say when Coach Rick incorporated the drills that he taught us in the no-gi class, he incorporated a lot of the wrestling techniques in jiu-jitsu. So when he started showing it, you know, he demonstrated the class and the drills and everything, I was, you know, in my head, I was like, this feels like wrestling class, but it's jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, I'm starting to, you know, like it a lot. You know, with the coach, I remember the first drill in jiu-jitsu with Coach Rick, when he taught me, it was the snap downs in a no-gi class. And I'm like, we do a lot of that in wrestling class. And I'm like, he's like, I remember in my head, I'm like, am I in the right class? This is, he's in coach, this is a lot of wrestlers do this, but I'm showing you guys a no-gi because you could do this in no-gi. I was like, huh, okay. You know, I didn't learn that in CSW or the other gyms I used to train at, or even, you know, the other ones like day passes and all that stuff. They didn't teach any of that. You know, 10th plan, a lot of leg locks and all that stuff. But I'm like, I don't really like that kind of. I don't want to learn leg locks. I want to learn something else. You know, like they just incorporate a lot about that stuff. Gracie Barra did a lot of triangles, but close guard and all that stuff. But here at Hybrid Academy, you know, they incorporate, you know, everything. The wrestling and the jiu-jitsu like mixed together. So when it came to the no-gi classes, it feels like I'm in wrestling class, but it's jiu-jitsu. You know, like when, you know, I go for the side control and all that stuff, and he incorporates, you know, the wrestling spins and everything, and I was just like, you know what, I'm loving jiu-jitsu now because Coach Rick is incorporating the wrestling techniques in jiu-jitsu, and I'm just like, this is awesome. I love it. You know, like as each, you know, day goes, you know, each week actually, you know, we learn something different. I just fall in love with him more because he incorporates a lot of wrestling in no-gi. Even sometimes in gi, and I'm just like, really? Can you do that? And I was like, in gi? He's like, yeah, you can. I was like, I did not know that.
It's always mind-blowing when the person's like, you can do that in a gi? And it's like, yes, you're just wearing clothes.
Yeah, and I'm like, because I remember when I did my, I remember telling Coach Rick, I was like, I don't really do gi, because, you know, I remember I came with a wrestling mindset in gi class, and I would get caught everywhere. Like I'll be grabbed everywhere, and I'm like, you know. So yeah, and I'm like, and I told Coach Rick, I was like, I need to stop with the wrestling ego, man. I was like, and then he tells me, he was like, but you know what gi helps you with? I was like, your grip strength and no gi. I was like, it's true. I'm like, okay. So when it came to, as weeks go on, actually, you know, months, I didn't notice difference. I was like, yeah, my no gi has gone a lot better, especially the grip strength, and especially, you know, incorporating my wrestling and no gi. And I'm just like, it's making jiu-jitsu more easier. You know, I was like, you know, but you know, like at the same time, you know, I'm still learning. I'm always learning. You know, I never stop learning. Even if I'm going against higher belts, I'm like, you know, like I tell them, you know, how I do, was this wrong with other stuff. But other than that, after that, I was like, I'm loving it. You know, as I would say, like maybe like 2 weeks after I've been here at Hybrid Academy, like when I first started, I was falling in love with it already.
Wow, that's pretty good. I can tell you this, like when I teach my stuff, I try to have a little bit of everything. But then what I do is we have a D1 wrestler coach that does wrestling for us that I'll go, here's a snap down. For further research, go see him. Here's the introduction to it. And it's usually with the concept of, I need you to do this so that you can get this reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that necessarily you're even going to take them down. It's just that you learn where their levels change and that you have options. Because if you pull guard and they go all the way up, you can go into X guard very easily.
Yeah.
But if you pull them down and you want to get the takedown, go talk to Coach Mason. That's not a Coach Raff question. That's a Coach Mason question, because Coach Raff will get it to you. It's going to be a lot harder work if I teach you it. But I think that's the benefit of knowing where your strengths are. So if you know, like, oh, this is what I do well, maybe they should learn this, you kind of like pass that around for people. So that's something that I've learned over the years, that I just kind of go like, all right, cool. I think it's important to show everybody a multitude of things. Coach Rick, now that I can shoot that same question to you, it's with the intention of, when did it become something that you were going to do more than just as a hobby? Because day one, you already loved it. But what do you feel is like one of those days that set you on that path that ultimately got you to building a gym like this?
I would say it was the day that I won my first Pan title, when I was a white belt, and I won the Pan Americans. I was in 2013, I believe. I had no clue what I was getting into. I just know that it was a very prestigious tournament. My professor at the time, Jiva Santana, convinced me and encouraged me to go for the tournament. At that time, prior to that, I was a no-gi competitor. However, he really encouraged me to do the gi, and when I did do it, I fell in love with it. And then when I won my first tournament, then I thought, okay, well, that's a local tournament. That's fantastic. That's good. And maybe I'll just go back to no-gi. They're like, no, you should try and do pans. And okay, what's that? And then when I registered and I showed up to the place, it's in a ginormous venue, the Brenna Event Center. There's people shouting at each other in Portuguese and different languages.
Mostly Portuguese.
There's TV cameras, video cameras all over the place. Flo was there. It was huge. The place was packed. There's like 25, 30 mats. Just, yeah, it was unbelievable. It was quite a spectacle. And I just walked in the venue. I'm like, what did I get myself into? And then that's when people started saying, yeah, this is one of the biggest tournaments like of the year. And that's when I didn't know about Worlds at the time, but I walked into this thing, and like I said, I was going through a really rough patch in my life. So I had 3 matches to gold, and I remember the first match I got thrown on my head, but I was able to, by a judo guy, by a judoko, but I was able to recover. And anyway, long story short, I ended up winning the tournament. And when I won the tournament, all matches were won off the skin of my hair, so barely. And then when I went to the podium to receive the gold medal, my professor promoted me on the podium to blue belt. And when he did that, that was like the greatest feeling in the world. Like when he promoted me with that belt, I was super happy. I was super excited. And I remember what he said. He said the good news is you won pans. He said the bad news is now it gets harder now.
Yeah.
And then when he put that blue belt around me, and then a lot of people didn't know this. I mean, now you guys know, but after I won the tournament, I ended up going to the car. I think in my car, I locked myself in there. I was the only person left inside the parking structure. Everyone else just left. I was just sitting there just staring at that gold medal. I was obviously in tears. I was just very emotional because that was a very hard time for me, because I can't believe what I was able to do, what jiu-jitsu allowed me to do. Jiu-jitsu gave me a reason to live. It gave me a reason to continue. It gave me a reason to want to fight again. And just because when you go and you lose a scholarship, you lose your ability to perform like you want to in the sport that you were made for, you're got a titanium leg basically. Mm-hmm. And to top it off that, other things in my personal life were just going down the drain. So to go and to win this tournament, feeling with everything I went through, it was it showed to me this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And since then, I didn't stop. I just kept going. And a lot of times I know what was fueling me, but at the same time, I also knew to myself, man, I love it. I love winning. I love how you feel. I love the work that you put into winning. I love how you go through the emotions and things like that. But I would say, after I won PANS, then when I stepped into the teaching realm, then that's when, I would say those are the two defining moments when I knew that I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. I mean, I work a regular job like everybody else, during the day, but I would say this is what I wanted to do. There was the PANS, and then of course when I started teaching as a blue belt.
That makes so much sense. And I mean, it explains, at least to me, it informs why you have that win attitude. Like, it's really hard to embed that in people, because if anybody competes, they know there are moments that sometimes you get overwhelmed, and then you think, as you were mentioning in that first tournament, it's like, for PANS, it was close each time. But there are those competitors who have that extra thing that kind of make sure, like, no, I got to find my way to win.
Yeah.
And if you had to overcome stuff before then that's not the hard stuff. What's happening in a mat, a blue mat, is just a metaphor for what you had to overcome, because that was the hard thing.
If I may, interesting. Yes, you bring an interesting point, but the like you said, that will to win. I felt like I give all that credit to my college wrestling coach, Vince Silva. It was Coach Silva that really instilled that mindset in me. So if I feel like I have to give all that credit to my mentality and to my attitude and to that mental toughness, that will to win, that ability to endure, in other words, that endurance attitude, I would say it comes from my head coach, Vince Silva. He coached me in college. A remarkable man, someone who I look as a father figure, and someone I'm very close to this day, and I have a lot of respect for. He's the one that taught me how to win. He's the one that taught me to have that bulletproof mindset, and a lot of it was done through just endurance, the hard practices, the grind, and of the season. But most of all, he was always teaching me how to go above and beyond. So in other words, he always told me, he says, he would say, Arreola, if you want to be good at this, then you can't be normal. You can't be normal. You can't be, you can't be normal by waking up at 5 a.m. and going for a run and training and stuff like that. Everyone else is sleeping. Everyone's at the bar drinking and partying, but you got to be the man that's waking up early training. You got to be the man that's like working out like late at night. And when he instilled that mindset in us, that's what I was pretty much doing. Like every morning I was waking up early and training. At night where people were like going partying, I was like lifting weights, I was running, I was like studying film, things like that. So he instilled that mentality in me.
Well, it's also why when I see you talk to your students and you're like, all right, guys, if coach is competing, y'all better bring it to me. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, that never ends. Like, I think that's super dope, because you were saying something that I like to tell a lot of the kids that I see it for different programs who have coaches who are, let's say, younger, there's always that propensity of like, I don't want to be coach, And I go, no, that's the best compliment you can pay them. And sometimes because they're not training with people always who are their level when they have to teach you, or like there's a bunch of people who are just starting, they need to pull the best out of you. And the way they do that is they put a bounty on their own head. So I was very happy to hear that. And the best part was hearing the like small murmurs of the guys being like, yeah, okay, I think we might have to do that. And I was like, well, first of all, good luck, everybody. But second of all, I still love the element of job's not done. And I think that's great. And I think it's a continuation of what you are continuing to build here. Mickey, I have to ask this because we need to round third here, but it was recently discovered on my social media that you're fighting again. So there's a real quick turnaround here. When are you fighting? Where are you fighting? Tell the people, and just so you know, that's the camera I want you to look into right over there, and tell them what they can expect at this next fight.
So I'm fighting October 7th in Long Beach at Thunder Studios at Alex F. So I'm still going to fight at featherweights, and my opponent's undefeated. And what you expect from my next fight is a way better version, a way better Mickey we saw in my last fight. A very violent Mickey and very improved Mickey, because I have very much improved since my last fight. Very much improved. And, reviewing what I went through in my last fight, I was destined to do this like my whole life. It's my goal one day, whether it's Bellator, UFC, one championship, I'll make it there one day. If you envision it, you could dream it. If you picture it, it can happen.
I love that. I've heard you say that in one of your other interviews, and I just love the goal of like, I don't know what it's going to be. I can't tell you what it is. I just know it's going to happen. And I think that kind of undeniability is, oh no, we're going.
Yeah.
It's happening, and y'all can come for the ride or not, but join in now if you want to see it. And I can tell you, as somebody who watched you fight, there are reasons why when I make these efforts, I really, really think about it, because again, we mentioned time can be best spent doing a number of things. But if I make the effort to say like, no, I think there's something there. I think what you showed was just where you're at now. It's going to continue to get better. Yeah. So it's always my hope that these are the interviews that we start and that we pick up again later when you have other success and other things that we can talk about, because there's still so much that we can discover and talk about in your experiences. But I definitely wanted to make this first introduction happen, especially having commentated one of your fights. And that doesn't always happen. So when I get that opportunity to match what I saw with seeing it up front and in person, I always like those experiences. So you were very much as advertised. What I would like to do, and again, that camera over there, I want you to thank anybody, both of you. I'm going to give you both opportunities. Thank anybody you want to, for you specifically, anybody who helped you get to where you needed to be for that fight. And Coach Rick, anybody who's been helping to make this gym not just happen, but continue to be as clean. Because like, I don't know if you guys can see this, like it's very clean here.
It's super shiny.
And it's been around for a bit. So I just want to say, give props to whoever you guys want to give props to. Mickey, you can go ahead and start.
First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to my lady, Alma. I love you. We're going to see this soon. So I give a lot of credit to her. And I want to thank you for what you have done for me. You handle all my attitudes, cooked all my meals.
So meal prep as well.
Even though sometimes I could be a picky eater, but I still eat it. I love you, okay? But I give a lot of credit to her. I mean, I will always tell us, there's no me without you. And all my teammates, I'm at both gyms, Hybrid Academy, MTLA, Master Toddy's. My main sparring partner over there, Leo Salazar, and all my wrestlers here, and all my jiu-jitsu guys here. Shout out to all of you guys, because all of them make me better every single day, in and out of the gym. And a lot of credit to Coach Rick too as well.
Coach.
Well, yeah, I just want to say a special thank you to Coach Anthony. Coach Anthony's been doing a lot of work with Mickey with his boxing. Master Toddy's gym is doing a fantastic job with Mickey as well. Really good with his Muay Thai. But Coach Anthony, without a doubt, has been putting in some extra time with them. We want to say thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach Anthony Martinez, for everything you do. You're a fantastic boxing coach, and we're happy.
Very fantastic.
Yes, and we're very happy that you're helping Mickey improve his striking skills very much so. Shout out to our entire hybrid staff. Thank you so much for your hard work. Thank you so much for all the work that you do for our kids program, for our wrestling program, for our jiu-jitsu program. None of this would be possible without you guys. We really appreciate your support. Also, too, thanks to all our hybrids out there. We appreciate you guys. We hope that we can use jiu-jitsu to inspire you daily. To our hybrid wrestlers that are out there training, like I said, good luck to you guys. We wish you the best in this upcoming tournament that you guys have. Also to Mickey, we're very proud of you. We're very proud of the hard work that you put in. You're very coachable, and most of all, I just love seeing and witnessing all your hard work and the fruits of your labor. And it's something that we really enjoy watching. It's a great process, and just thanks so much for allowing us to become part of the journey. We really appreciate this, and wherever God takes us, whether it's Bellator, UFC, One Championship, all the way to the top.
Yep. Thank you, Coach. It's an honor.
Likewise, sir.
That's what's up. Well, gents, we'll put a pin on this for now. We'll also do a technique breakdown here in just a second for the actual fight. But I want to thank both of you for your time. And also thank you for the wonderful hospitality over here at Hybrid. I had a blast here training with everybody. And Mickey, I'll say this to you. Our work here, though, we're not done yet.
No.
You and I we have a feud now. Because now that I know you're a professional wrestling fan, I can do professional wrestling moves to you, because I don't pick on civilians. I only pick on people who are well educated at that. And I told you, I was like, well, next time when you're not in a fight, I'm 100% going to catch one of these moves. So now that you know that, just be prepared.
So remember, Raph, he's also the more like the new era. I'm more like the golden era and the attitude era.
Oh yes, yeah. We talked about it one time. I remember that we did talk about it.
So remember, I grew up during the golden era, the Federation era, the Ultimate Warrior.
Yep.
And of course, the Attitude Era, and he's like, I can tell he's talking about Roman Reigns and John Cena, and
it's a softer.
It's just hard.
No, I get it.
It's just hard to go from Ultimate Warrior to John Cena. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard to go from like
I mean, doesn't it make you feel better because he's not on all the Ultimate Warrior steroids? Like this is progress.
I mean, we had Jake the Snake.
You got DDT'd once in our day and you were done. Now it's just like a setup move to 40 other moves. But it's okay. I have appreciation for both eras. I'm just saying that when I know somebody's fighting, I'm not trying to hit some of these moves because I go, oh, how embarrassing would it be to call somebody afterwards and go, yeah, I was going to fight, except Raph might have tried going for a figure 4 leg lock and hurt my leg, so I got to pull out of this fight. And I'm like, I never want to be that person. I'm too clumsy. I don't want to do anything bad. So in the future, what we'll do is, let's say after your next win, we book another one of these in person, and then we get some more training in, sir.
Oh, definitely.
Appreciate you, brother. Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to close this up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have such appreciation for you watching. But a couple quick reminders. One, HY.PAGE/Grappling Hour. Become a member of the Grappling Hour community. $5 a month. See these interviews 30 days before anybody else, or for a few extra dollars. You get to see tape studies, extra episodes, not available anywhere else. And you can see a tape study of this man's fight that we're going to do here in just a second, and much, much more. Join us on the Discord. And if you made it this far in, you might as well drop us a like, a share, and a subscribe. And in the comment section, because listen, you might not want to say anything. I don't know what you want to do. I'm going to give you a prompt, okay? Even if you had nothing to say. Tell us who the best wrestler of the golden era was. Not this man's era, because he is a child, but the actual great time. No, I'm just kidding. Tell us who your favorite wrestler is in the comment section if you made it this far, because let's face it, you owe us a comment if you made it all the way in this video and did nothing. Like, subscribe, share, etc. That's going to do it for us here at the Grappling Hour. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats. Perfect.